Hello! Alright, so you are looking for all of the new and best rolls on the weapons that are returning to Destiny 2. We're going to go through all of them, mostly for PvE content, because that's what I specialize in, but also a little bit in PvP. So, starting with the Edge Transit, which is the biggest weapon that a lot of people have been talking about. For PvE, the roll you guys are going to be looking for, you're going to be looking for two things. You're going to be looking for Envious and Cascade in the third column. Specifically, you want this on the same gun, because if you can combo getting Envious first procced, which means you're basically overflowing the entire magazine, and then swapping to Cascade Point, you're going to be able to get the Cascade Point damage buff along with the bait and switch damage buff, which is in the fourth column, which is doing roughly, I believe, a 55% damage buff, which is higher than any buff in the game, which is why people are going ridiculous over this gun. I think Aegis did some damage tests, and 6 shots of this is doing essentially the same amount as a golden gun or one maxed out parasite shot, which is ridiculous. So definitely try to get this gun. We don't know exactly if the Envious swapping to Cascade works with bait and switch as well, so it's not confirmed. But either way, Envious bait and switch on this is going to be essentially, one of the best guns in the game. A Cataphract is already one of the best GLs for total damage, so even if this doesn't work stacking, it's still going to be a really good GL. And yeah, we have quick launch on it for more velocity and handling, spike nades for more damage, and then handling obviously for swapping. So for PvP, we thought volatile rounds, destabilizing rounds with impulse nades would be the best. Sorry, I haven't updated this right now. But yeah, we're going to be doing probably also spike nades is what you're going to want, not high velocity, and then also quick launch. And yeah, that'll get you that juicy PvP roll. It's honestly, there's kind of a lot of GLs that have impulse amplifier. That's really all you care for. There's a couple others, like I think Cataphract also gets chain reaction in the fourth column, so it might be a better choice. But if you need a GL for PvP and you want it to look cool because it's from this, feel free to go for it. Don't look at this though. Sorry, first and second columns are not updated. Really just focus on the third and fourth, but I will say them anyway. So yeah, it's going to be spike nades, just a reminder, as well as quick launch probably for PvP, as well as you're going to want a velocity masterwork on these if you're using it for PvP, just so it goes faster to the target. All right, for Hammerhead, we're looking at, I would say, either Arrowhead Break or specifically Fluted is going to be probably your best bet. And then anything that's going to give you more ammo to utilize Killing Tally. I think Killing Tally destabilizing rounds is going to be the best roll for this gun, just because you're able to use the Killing Tally on top of just getting that nice AoE, which is kind of what machine guns are really used for, is just general ad clear. I know a lot of people talked about Rampage, but I think it's a bit overkill and you're not really getting the biggest bang for your buck. And if you're getting recon on this, it's basically exactly like the Craftable Commemoration, which is from DSC, so there's no real point in doing that. So my recommendation would be to go with destabilizing rounds and Killing Tally, along with anything that gives you more ammo and something that maybe helps you with the recoil or just with handling is always good. And obviously handling masterwork is the preferred. But yeah, this is always, dream scenario. Honestly, really all that you're looking for in these guns is these, like I said, third and fourth column perks. All right, for PvP, you're going to look for Arrowhead, Axe Rise if you really want a PvP machine gun. You're going to look for Underover and tap the trigger probably, just because Underover is going to met those shields. So if you see any, Titans with an overshield from their barricade or something like that, that's solid, and then tap the trigger is just going to give you that extra stability and other stats that are awesome for PvP. And stability at range is going to be probably useful for PvP, just so you don't get flinched and just so you can hit people at those longer ranges with higher damage values. All right, so you're not lowering your damage value because damage fall off from being too far when you shoot. All right, so for Falling Guillotine, I'm looking at this more as an eager edge option. A lot of people have talked about it. Vortexes are just kind of ass for damage. I mean, that's just kind of how it is, unfortunately. But if they ever buff Vortexes, then we're going to have a couple options here. I would say it's maybe worth getting it because they're dropping a lot of Vortexes like Slammer and like Falling Guillotine. So I think they're probably likely to get a buff with all of these new drops. If they don't, then we're going to stick with the other options. So the main thing that I would look for on this is Eager Edge and Chain Reaction. It's a decent ad clear sword, as well as you're going to be using it for movement. It's going to be going incredibly far. You're going to want Jagged Edge on this thing and Sword Masters for your second column. If they do end up getting buffed, I would recommend Surrounded plus Relentless Strikes. The only reason we have Vorpal and Frenzy here is just in case they buff the reserves for swords to make it so you can actually utilize this double damage perk. Sorry, my camera is covering Frenzy. But essentially the reason we're not like focusing on Vorpal and Frenzy off rip is because your sword is going to run out of ammo before you actually get the chance to really utilize that damage perk. So it's going to miss out on a lot of damage that you would normally get. So that's why I recommend Relentless Strikes and Surrounded. That's what we use on Bequest, a lot of the main damaging swords for things like Crota and like Keitel in the Duality Dungeon. For PvP, really doesn't matter that much. You're going to go Eager, probably Chain here is solid. And then, yeah. Moving on to the Recluse, one that everyone has been talking about. I'm sorry, my camera is massive, but as you can see there, it's Desperate Measures and Frenzy in the 4th column. For PvE, we're definitely looking for Fluted Flared. You guys know that's kind of my favorite combo. I talked to a lot of high-end PvE players about this. Usually, you're going to focus on handling and reload for your buffs in the first 2 columns, just because handling is kind of the most important thing in PvE in the sandbox at the moment. Just because you're swapping your weapons faster. You don't really need range because usually you should be playing within the range of your weapons, which I like to tell a lot of my viewers and people who are on the Discord, just because it allows you to, utilize these other stats that are more important in high-end content, like reloading faster and swapping the other weapons faster. So in the 3rd column, I'm going to be looking for Threat Detector, Repulsor Brace, and Subsistence. I think Threat Detector and Master of Arms is going to be a very fun perk option because you're going to get that damage buff, and as long as you're keeping that up, that's incredible. With Threat Detector, you're going to get more handling, more reload speed, more stability, really good stat buff all around. If Master of Arms is not that great and we find it to be less good than something like Frenzy or Desperate Measures, that's why we have this here. We don't really know exactly what Desperate Measures is going to do in the meta yet, so that's why we have it on a lot of these weapons, because we want to test it and see if it's better than a lot of the options we have. But yeah, like I said, currently we don't know how good it's going to be. We also have Repulsor Brace and Destabilizing Rounds, which is kind of the bread and butter for a lot of Void weapons right now, just getting everything volatile, and then when you kill it, something that is volatile, you're going to get that overshield from Repulsor Brace, which is very nice. Subsistence is just a solid perk in general for things like autos, for things like SMGs, because you're refunding a small bit of ammo while also allowing yourself to keep things procced, like Frenzy for your damage buff, like Master of Arms, continuing to allow that damage buff to keep going. Masterwork, again, we're going to be looking at handling, definitely not range. Sorry, I had someone else make the spreadsheet for me, so I apologize if some of these are off. Like I said, handling is your priority perk for a lot of these weapons. So for PvP, we're probably looking at Hammerforge, Axerize, DSR, and Tap the Trigger or Master of Arms is what we're going to aim for, because Master of Arms, if it is a solid damage perk, like assumed, then it's going to be solid in PvP. With DSR, obviously just giving you those extra stat buffs and helping you while you're ADS. Tap the Trigger, kind of the same vibe. If Master of Arms isn't that great, it's still going to be a solid SMG. It's a 900. A lot of people like 900s. And DSR and Tap the Trigger is always just kind of a tried and true combo for that. And then probably a range masterwork for this, depending on what you need. If not, it's going to be handling. Sorry, not stability. But yeah, I would go for handling if it's already really, really high in range. Next up, we have the LC's Rifle. I would say out of the weapons we've looked at so far, I think Falling Guillotine and the this gun up here, LCs, are a little bit underwhelming as far as what we've seen in the PvE sandbox so far. For PvE, you're going to be looking for Fluted and Flared. Please do not look at this. You're going to look for Fluted Barrel and Flared Magwell to bolster your reload speed and your handling. In the 3rd column, we're going to be looking at Repulsor Brace and Rewind Rounds and Underover. Solid perks here. I think Wee-Woo and Underover are solid options if you don't get the D-Stab Repulsor Brace perk, which a lot of people are looking at. We also have Frenzy here as another option to kind of differentiate. Frenzy Underover might be a really solid combo to use, as well as we don't know how good Desperate Measures is, so we have it on here just in case it's solid, and you can combo it with some of the other perks that we have, and you're going to want handling as the masterwork, not range. All right, for PvP, we're looking at Hammerforge, probably High Cal or Ricochet is solid, kind of personal preference, whatever you feel. I'm assuming it gets one of those, and if it doesn't have either of those, probably Axerized. In the 3rd column, I'm going to number 1 recommend Zen Moment, and definitely Headseeker in the final column if you're looking for that extra damage after the kill, though, you can go for a kill clip. We also have keep away and under over as options for PvP to melt over shields, as well as to get that bonus range. And yeah, for your masterwork, you're going to look at range or handling as well. Another thing I didn't talk about, I think, for this made one, like I said, for PvE, it's a little bit underwhelming, but that D-stab, repulsor is still going to be a solid combo for all of you Gear Falcon hunters, for everyone that likes to dive deep into the void builds. All right, Succession. This gun also is kind of underwhelming. It hasn't really changed too much as far as the updates to the weapon. Like normal, we're going to be looking for Reconstruction and Vorpal. You're probably going to look for Fluted and Flared, just like normal. If you guys want something with more stability so you don't get flinched with the gun, I understand. That's why if you guys want a masterwork on it, I'm going to recommend handling as always. But if you guys want stability or something like that so you're not getting flinched, because you do get flinched a lot while using a sniper, I wouldn't blame you. But yeah, we're going to go for Recon Vorpal. If you guys want something for more like GMs and more interesting, Let and Demo are okay perks as well as Recombination for that high-powered shot. And I don't know why we have Firing Line on here. You're really never going to use this thing for damage. We have other better snipers for that. But if you really want to use it for damage, you can. But I wouldn't recommend it with Firing Line personally. So I would just say go for one of these two perks. All right. Okay, we're not going to talk about the PvP role. Somebody added that for the meme. Hung Jury. There's already a lot of different perks. If you guys want the Kinetic Tremors Shoot to Loot roll, it is unfortunately, I think, out. Or you might be able to roll for it still, but it won't be adept from Zavala. I would say you're probably going to look at something like Fluted Flared again in this column. I'll assume it has it. In the third column, you're looking for either Kinetic Tremors or Shoot to Loot. And in the fourth column, you'll be looking for Firefly, Explosive Payload, or Desperate Measures. I would assume Kinetic Tremors and Firefly is just the roll here. Explosive Payload is interesting for stunning things like Unstop champs. So maybe this, comes into play in the future if you guys want something like that. Shoot to Loot is also a decent option, but like we said, the other option previously has Kinetic Tremors and Shoot to Loot on said roll. So I would assume if you want a Shoot to Loot variation, I would go for that one over this one. Masterwork, you're definitely going to want handling. I don't know why it says reload. But yeah. And then for PvP, you're going to want something that will increase your range or your handling. So probably Axurized, probably something like Hammer Forged. And yeah, Rapid Hit Box Breathing is going to be solid. You're going to get that, extra damage and extra, you get I think it's a mark that you get with Box Breathing, but it makes it super awesome. Easy 3-tap, very simple. And yeah, you're probably going to want range, stability, or handling. Either of those are probably fine. I would say probably handling or range. You're not going to get too flinched with a scout rifle. All right, Luna's Howl. This one's very interesting. So in PvE, you're going to be looking for Fluted Flared, just like normal. And in the third column, we're looking at Heal Clip and Subsistence. Subsistence, I don't think really plays that big of a perk or that big of a deal in PvE on hand cannons. So I'd probably just go Heal Clip in this third column. And in fourth column, we have Incandescent. We have Incandescent, we have Desperate Measures, and Magnificent Howl. I thought Magnificent Howl was interesting in the PvE sandbox just because if you're chaining a lot of these precision hits, you're going to be able to utilize a lot of these high-powered Magnificent Howl shots, which is solid. So we thought it might be interesting to add. I'm guessing Incandescent plus Heal Clip is going to be the role that a lot of people are going to use. We're not sure how good Desperate Measures is. We tossed it in here because we thought it sounded interesting. So if you guys want to try that out, feel free. But yeah, I'm going to guess Incan Heal Clip is the main role. If you want to mess around with Magnificent Howl, could also be really solid in PvE if you're hitting a lot of your crit hits. And then for this, you're also going to look for a handling masterwork. For PvP, we're looking at Hammer Forged, probably Axurized. We don't know if it gets Ricochet or anything like that. But if it does, definitely look at Ricochet or High Cal as an option. And for PvP, you're definitely going to want Slide Shot and probably Kill Clip or Opening Shot as options here. Magnificent Howl is also okay. You just got to be chaining your precision hits. I'm assuming Kill Clip is just going to be easier to use. So I would assume Slide Shot Kill Clip or Slide Shot Opening Shot are going to be the clips or the things that people look for. I also thought Heal Clip, Kill Clip was interesting. I've been seeing a lot of people run with that in PvP on things like Heliocentric. So I thought, hey, maybe try something like that in a hand cannon, especially if it's a 140 and it's going to 3-tap anyway. So maybe interesting. Also gets Eye of the Storm, which is not a bad perk that people like to mess around with. So maybe take a look at that. And then, yeah, probably a range or handling masterwork on this thing for PvP. For Forbearance, this is the big one. A lot of people have talked about this. You're going to want Quick Launch. You're going to want High Velocity in the first and second. But third, you have Ambitious. And you also have Demo. I'm assuming Demo Chain Reaction is going to be the new meta perk kind combination for these two things. A lot of people have talked about it. It looks absolutely fucking disgusting. I'm very excited to try it out. Demo chain is definitely going to be the role that I'm going to look for because we already have a craftable ambitious chain variation from the raid. If you don't have that though, feel free to go for one with ambitious as well. It's an incredible combo, especially with the perk on these things, the origin perk as being a sort of mini variation of demo, as well as getting your melee ability. It's 5% for grenades if you're on the light subclasses. Every time you get a kill, give you 5% towards your grenade. If you're on a darkness subclass, it'll give you 5% towards your melee ability. So other things to look at, I think are, I don't think there's really anything else to look at. If they nerf chain reaction, I'm trying to remember, maybe desperate measures, depending on how good it is. We'll see. I don't know why golden tricorn's on here. Don't even look at it. And yeah, you're going to want probably a reload or a handling masterwork on this. If you want to go for something funny in PvE, you can go for not any of that, just disruption break, chain reaction, pretty funny. But you probably won't ever use that thing in PvP because you have things like explosive personality that get auto-loading as well as disruption break, which is just kind of a little bit better. All right, let's talk about Midnight Coup. For PvE, I'm definitely also going to be looking for Fluted Flared with probably Firefly and Kinetic Tremors as my main combination. It also gets Shoot to Loot, which is interesting on this hand cannon, as well as Explosive Payload, which might be usable for certain champs and things. It also gets Frenzy, and we'll see how Desperate Measures is, so again, having that there, just in case. And we also have probably Handling for the Masterwork. Definitely not range. For PvP, I'm definitely looking at Explosive Payload and Zen Moment. I think this is incredible on a hand cannon, especially a 140. You're going to be minimizing your flinch as well as getting pretty easy 3 taps with Explosive Payload. Opening shot's also not a terrible option on this thing. And yeah, you're probably going to be looking at a range or handling masterwork for this thing in PvP. All right, looking at Mountaintop, another big returner for the PvE and PvP sandbox. So we're assuming it's probably going to get Sticky. So Sticky might be also something to look at. Along with obviously Quick Launch is what we're going to be looking for. In the third column, we're going to be looking at Autoloading and Demo and Lead from Gold. I think all of these perks are interesting. Lead from Gold more for GMs and for things where you need to specialize on your ammo economy. I think Demo and Autoloading are going to be more, Demo's kind of maybe general concept, but I think Autoloading is probably the #1 perk to get on this. So I'd recommend Autoloading and probably something like Frenzy or Vorpal for your general use. Recombination is nice if you really want to get that high-powered damage shot to kind of compare it to something like Izzy. Unfortunately, it doesn't really stack up to Izzy, but as far as other things go, if you want to free open your exotic primary slot for something like Trinity Ghoul or Sunshot, I think this thing is a solid option that you could use in damage rotations, as well as just using it for other East of Life's things. So definitely take a look at these. I'm assuming Autoloading Frenzy is going to be my usual perk. Vorpal's really nice for damage rotations, though, and Recombination is also somewhat interesting. For Masterwork, you're going to want Handling. Don't look at that. But yeah. For PvP, you're going to want probably also Quick Launch, and I'm guessing Sticky Nades or something else. I think would be really interesting is an Impulse Amplifier and Harmony Roll. You can just map the fuck out of people, which I thought would be really funny. Other things you can look at are Autoloading. Definitely not Frenzy, but Autoloading and Harmony is also an option. Masterwork for that, probably just do Velocity or Handling. I'm assuming it's maxed on Velocity, though. For Blast Furnace, which I think is our last weapon here, very awesome. We're going to be looking at Fluted Flare, just like normal. Please don't pay attention to what it says in the sheet. I'm sorry. It also gets Kinetic Tremors and Shoot to Loot in this third column as far as the notable perks. And in the fourth column, you're getting Desperate Measures, Frenzy, Firefly, and Rapid Hit. I'm assuming Firefly and Kinetic Tremors will be my go-to. Frenzy is also solid for just general use. Also, if you want a Shoot to Loot roll, you can get Shoot to Loot Frenzy, which doesn't sound bad either. But yeah, there's a lot of different combos on this. I'm assuming Kinetic Tremors, Firefly is going to be the roll. Like I said, maybe Frenzy. But definitely try it out. Get a Handling Masterwork on it. It'll be solid. Blast Furnace is a really, really good option. I'm assuming in both PvE and PvP. It falls off a little bit. I think LT got a little bit lucky with the perk combinations because I was thinking Zen Moment Headseeker is kind of like the perk combination that people want on pulse rifles right now. But for PvP, definitely go for Axe Rise if you can get it, or something that'll bump your range, as well as something like Hammer Forged. And you're going to want probably Zen Moment or Head Seeker in combination with Kill Clip or Rapid Hit. I would assume Head Seeker Kill Clip is probably going to be the role that a lot of people look for. That sounds really, really good. Also gets Keep Away and Perpetual Motion as other options. But I'm assuming, yeah, Zen and Head Seeker are going to be your killers here, along with Kill Clip and maybe Rapid Hit. You're definitely going to want something like a Handling Masterwork or a Range Masterwork on this thing. But yeah, that is all of the weapons. I try to do it relatively quickly. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Sorry that some of the sheet is messed up. Like I said, generally in PvE, you're going to look for fluted and flared. On the machine guns, you're going to look for things that'll give you more ammo. That's what we talked about, appended and tac mag, depending on what's available. And for, what's it called? For your GLs, you're going to be looking for spike nades usually. Unless it's the, what's it called? Mountaintop, because it also might get sticky nades, which you guys don't know is an older perk where you can stick the nades to certain things, which is also very usable in Crucible and PvE for kind of more niche but specific options that are also solid. Also helps you stick enemies pretty easy. So really, really good. Maybe not as niche as I said it was, but yeah, you got lots of options. I think a lot of these weapons are going to be completely meta defining. Definitely try to get them or get as many as you can. Sorry, my camera is super large. My OBS is like having a fucking nightmare. My camera died on stream. Everything was crazy. But yeah, we'll be live tomorrow at 11. Definitely try to catch the channel. We'll be watching the new live stream for the trailer and other gameplay that they're showing for the final shape. And then we're going to be getting into Onslaught. I think I'll be playing with Phenomenal J and then some people from my server. So hopefully we'll see you guys then. And farm out these weapons. If you guys want to farm out with me, I'll be doing it the entirety of their availability, trying to get every single god roll that I can, especially for PvE and a couple for PvP as well. You guys have a great night, and hopefully we have told you something about these new rolls that you can go out and get. All right, you guys have a good one. Deuces. Oh wait, on the way out, say hi to Quack6. He's in the bottom left. He says hi. All right, deuces.